Hey, it's Jeff. Today we're going to do some survival mode, and one thing we're going to try to do is going to try to make it as instructional as possible for all levels up to my level. So there's going to be timestamps to skip to certain milestones. So like I might have one at 10 puzzles, 20 puzzles, 30 puzzles. So every 10 I'll probably have a timestamp so you can skip ahead if I'm covering stuff that's too basic for you. So let's get started. Also, I have like a thing above me that has some tips in general, like thought process things. So it pretty much covers all the important stuff that like I've read, mostly from Dvorsky's books, but and some other sources. And I kind of just added everything together. So it should be like a really good, concise guide for most people. So definitely take note of that while we're solving along, and notice how often I do some of these things or don't do, and look at that for yourself as well. Okay, so in this situation, this is a 100 level puzzle. Basically, the first thing is you see it's just a king and pawn ending. So this is the most far advanced pawn. They have this one. It's going to be a pawn race. Normally, you would calculate and see which one is going to queen first to see is this actually going to be a draw or can you actually win. But in this case, usually you can just, especially since it's a low rated puzzle, you can just assume the pawn race is going to win unless it's very obvious that you can stop this pawn, which you definitely can't because once they move this, they're defended by the king, and so it's gonna have a easy time promoting to b8. So your only hope is actually just getting this pawn up the board. So I would just normally in a puzzle rush, I would just automatically identify this pawn and just try to push this as far as possible. Okay. All right. So now we're in check. There's only one real move that we should really consider, and that's just moving the king up. There are two other moves that are actually possible though. So one is bring the knight back and bring the queen back. So, but you don't want to do those. Definitely just want to move the king out the way. And that was actually the puzzle. Okay. Now this one, we have a queen and a bishop lined up. This bishop is only protected by the king. So I think one of these things, one of these notes say, so under the tactical intuition above me, it says look out for pieces with the same number of attackers and defenders. In general, like, okay, you see this king is defending this, the queen is attacking it, so that's 1 and 1. But this bishop is also reinforcing things. So once the queen takes, the bishop is ready to also eye that square. But there's nothing else other than the king guarding this. So this is another thing where you definitely want to be able to see this and be able to deduce that logic instantly. Um, and I guess I'm trying to think like from a beginner's perspective, what else could be going on? Like what would lead people to go wrong? Maybe they see that the queen is attacked, so they say, okay, I'll move the queen out the way, and also attack this undefended pawn. But it's important to see that if you go here, the king cannot take because the bishop is guarding. And also, when you look, the king doesn't have any other moves, so it's going to be checkmate because the queen will be guarding all of that. Alright, so this one, just back rank mate. The hardest thing about this one probably is just realizing which color you are, which side of the board is what. But here, I saw that they moved their rook here, so I know we're black, and we're just going to go up here to checkmate. Okay, so now they just moved out of check. First thing I notice is rook here looks to be checkmate. But also, their bishop was attacking our rook, so that's another hint that maybe you should do something about this. But also, the main thing is the king is just like exposed. And if you really, like, I guess if I press the back arrow, you can see that um, they did just end up putting the bishop here to check them, so they had to move. So you're looking for some type of checkmating attack when you see the king doesn't have any squares. So literally the king cannot move anywhere, so give it one extra check and it's going to be checkmate. They can't block with anything. Okay, so this first thing I see is the king is definitely exposed. So the bishop is guarding this square, the queen is guarding this square, and nothing else other than the king is looking at this. So this is just a checkmating pattern. Okay. Now similarly, we have another case where the king is the only thing going here. This pawn and this knight is guarding d2. The queen is also, but the reason I didn't really mention that right away is because the queen can go to f2 defended by the knight, and then the king can't escape here, and it's going to be checkmate because there's 2 attackers and 1 defender of this square. So not even just like pieces that have the same number of attackers and defenders, but certain key squares that might have a certain number of attackers and defenders as well. And I didn't even notice like they took this rook at some point because there's a bishop here now. So there's a lot of things that you might be like distracted by if you don't see this checkmate. But usually what stronger players do, they'll just immediately see that, okay, this is checkmate, and just play it. Okay, so first thing, this one I see through pattern recognition. It's just, and the key thing is the bishop is guarding here, the rook is guarding here, and the queen is already here. So if we were to take, so looking at our forcing moves, checks, captures, and threats, this check and capture, they would have to retake. And if you could visualize that position, rook e1 will be checkmate because the king won't be able to move anywhere. And they can't take the rook because the bishop is guarding. And I guess some people might get this wrong because they see that the a pawn is attacking the bishop and they might try to move the bishop out the way. That's not going to be... There's a really easy way to disqualify this kind of retreating move. And that's because there's so many different areas you can go to. So you can go to c5 to get out of that. You can go to d6. Like all those, there's not really one that's much better than the other. You can even go back to f8. Notice you wouldn't go to e7 because then that would hang the queen. And you wouldn't go to a5 because they would push b4 and then your bishop would be trapped. So as long as you keep that in mind, that this would be bad and this would be bad, you notice that there are other squares that you could go to. And so because in these tactics there's only going to be one correct solution, you can't play a move like this unless you know that all the other ones are bad and that one is in particular good. So at higher ratings, if the move is something like this, there would be a tactical reason why, like let's say this is bad and this is bad. And then that would mean you have to go here because everything else doesn't work. It's like here, they would just take and I don't know, maybe it's a trade, but yeah, overall, this can all be avoided if you just see that this sets up a checkmate pattern. Okay, now this is a type of board vision problem. Maybe it's like a, yeah, definitely a board vision type of problem because immediately what I saw was the queen is looking at this, and then I followed this diagonal back to see if anything else is attacking it, because I know if it is, then it's just checkmate at 1, because that would mean we have 2 versus 1. 1 is g7 square, and they only have the king defending. Now, again, where I think people are making mistakes are they see they just put a bishop here, it's undefended, so it's like, okay, let's take it. But no, that's not right. You have to look at like all your candidate moves if possible. Like you might think this might be good, but just take another look at the board, see if there's actually mate in 1 or not. And if you don't see anything immediately, then you take the bishop. But here you should be able to see that this is guarding and this is guarding, so you don't rush to take a free piece like that. And it might be hard to, like, it might be you're trying to keep up with like a fast pace of solving, but stronger players, when they're solving this instantly, they might not even see the bishop first because their intuition is just automatically drawing them to moves like this anyway. So they might see this without even noticing the bishop is doing anything because it doesn't matter. They see that this bishop and this queen has that coordination. But even if they did see this first, they would still look around because all it takes is like one look to g7, noticing you have a bishop 1, b2, that you could just get this. Okay, so now this is another one that's exactly similar to the last one. There's a free knight, but again, just take a look at the whole board and you see that the queen is guarding this and the bishop is also attacking this. So, and the king is the only thing defending. So that sets up a nice checkmating pattern. So this is the exact same type of thing where if people made a mistake by taking the bishop on the last one, they might also make a mistake of taking the knight on this one. Now, another tip of why you wouldn't take the knight is because, well, there's 2 different ways you could take the knight. So they both seem reasonable if you were going to do that. So it also should raise some alarm bells that that's probably the wrong move. Unless you can find a tactical reason why one doesn't work, then you should probably look for something else anyway. Alright, so this is another type of typical pattern. It's kind of similar to one that we saw earlier where we sacrificed the queen. Well, no, we traded the queen, and then we had some good bishop and rook coordination. So right now we can't really do much with this rook here because they would just take. But we do have this diagonal that's open. And notice because the rook is here, when we go here they have to move there, and then rook e1 would be checkmate. Now one thing to be aware of is once we go to bishop b5, they can play c4, so we have to be prepared to take, and then this is a forced checkmate. So we can just guarantee that we're going to checkmate them no matter what. So they do push the pawn, they move out the way, and you checkmate. Alright, so they are attacking our queen. What I see is, what I'm noticing is a very common theme for these puzzles is that a lot of times for some of these checkmates, we're seeing two pieces lined up against something that's only defended by the king, and then later on we have something, some type of follow-up. Could be a back rank mate, could just be a queen bishop battery, but in this case we're setting up a back rank mate where we go here and then checkmate. And notice we don't go here because the knight would take. In some cases this would be the move if like this pawn wasn't here and we had a rook on d8, then maybe going queen b1 would be good, because if the knight takes, then we go rook d1 for checkmate. So it kind of clears the knight from defending the d1 square in that case. Alright, so this one is a little different because notice the king is not, like a lot of these other ones where we were checkmating them, the king was just exposed. In this one, the king is pretty safe. It's castled. Our king is probably less safe than theirs, to be honest. So that should say, okay, is there a way to win material? Now, one of the things, like if you look above me, one of the themes for recognizing tactics are pieces on the same diagonal and files and stuff like that. So we have this rook that's opposite to that one. We have this bishop that's opposite to that rook. And so this one should give off some cues in your mind that you might be able to do something. So if you move this pawn to e4, you attack the knight and you also attack the rook. So one way or another, you're going to win material. Say move the rook out the way, so we can just take the knight. But be careful before you take the knight. You also want to look at all checks, captures, and threats that your opponent has. They will be able to take here, but it's fine because you can recapture. Now if you don't do that check to see that you'd be able to recapture, then it's possible that when they go here, you fell into some type of back rank mate. Like if you didn't look, then you don't really know if it's safe or not. This is also why when I go here, if they do go to rook e8, I'm already ready to recapture with the rook quickly. So that's how people solve these really fast, because they anticipate some common moves that they might play, and they already know that, okay, I'm going to recapture if they do this. And so they do this, and then we just, I was looking at this, but this one is just going to win more material. Okay. So our queen is attacked. Again, we see this same pattern where we have two pieces attacking something that's only defended by the king. And I guess some people, they might try to take this pawn because it gets rid of the attack on the king, on the queen, and also attacks their queen. But this looks like it should be better, because like after they move, you're taking this bishop for free, and it's actually just going to be checkmate because the king can't go here, and the queen is guarding all these squares. Let's just go here. Okay, so this is interesting because we don't have a queen. Did they just take our queen? Yeah, they just took our queen. So if you were looking to recapture the queen, I don't really like it because both seem like there's not too much of a downside. Like maybe taking with the F pawn, you allow this check, but there doesn't seem to be like a reason that we're much worse off other than positional reasons for taking with the H or F pawn. So I don't think that that would be worth spending a lot of time looking at. So what I would be looking at is, okay, this pawn is up here, this knight's here, this is cut off. Again, we're in a situation where the king can't move, so any check would just be checkmate. And this is that check because it's defended by the knight. Right, so now they're attacking the queen. We also have a bishop attacking their queen. So this is interesting. This one is definitely a lot harder than the other ones because I'm not entirely sure. I do think I know it, but this one was definitely a lot harder than the ones we've done previously. Because one move you might be tempted to play is queen g6 to get out of the way and then maintain attack of this, but they would probably have some way to get out, like maybe even just moving the queen to g2 would get them out of it. So I think the key here is we take this pawn and attack this rook, and so we're attacking the rook and attacking the queen, and as long as they're not back rank mating us with the queen, then this will be okay. And I don't really see a way that they would be able to do that, so pretty confident in playing queen b2. But that one was definitely like harder than some of the other ones. Alright, now again, this is one where you look at the pieces that are like opposite of each other, so the rook is looking at that one. So if I take this knight and they take, this rook is undefended, so we'd be able to take, and this looks like a back rank mate problem, where they would bring the rook back and we would take, and that would be checkmate. Okay, now this one is like, what color? They just moved the pawn that way, so we're black here. This looks like probably a decent move, just taking the free knight. And then I guess if they were to move out the way, we can always just take the pawn. And if they move somewhere, let's say here, then wait, they wouldn't be able to go here because the queen is guarding. But if we go here and they go here, then I'm less sure of what's going on. Like I could maybe give this check and they move out the way. And if we take, and they take, and then king here, and if they push there, then we could take. If we go here and they move up, then we could take the pawn. That was a lot to calculate and visualize, so people around that are struggling to get to 20 probably won't be calculating that far in advance, so this is another one that's kind of tricky, and they're probably not even going to test us on the most tricky line given the rating, but this would be an interesting one to look at like after. Let me see, how long have I been going so far? Okay, so I do want to take this, but I feel like it's a little bit more complicated than it might test us on. So they go here, and I would go here. Yeah, so it didn't like make us play like the rest of it. But like after we give that check and you move out the way and you take and then they take, I think you move the king and attack their pawn and you would be able to win it, and then you push your outside pass pawn. Okay, so this one is a little bit easier now because it's a pattern that I'm pretty familiar with. So it's almost like the Arabian mate. Like if there was no H file, this would be an Arabian mate. But they can go here, and then we move the rook here. It's not checkmate because they can bring that one, and then it's checkmate when you take. Alright, so this is a typical pattern. Again, we don't want to take the pawn because there's so many equal ways to just take it. But if we go give this check on h4, if they move out the way with the king, then their king is just in the center. If they block with the g-pawn, then we have this fork. And that's pretty much what they're going to do. Alright. So now this one, notice they have this like weak back rank problem because they haven't made room for the king by moving a pawn. So with the rooks like kind of opposite to that rook, if we were to take and then they take, then we take, they move the bishop, we take, they move the queen, we take, and that's checkmate. This is another really common pattern. It used to be one of the most common on chess.com, and then they added a whole lot of new puzzles. So now there's another pattern that's that we've seen already. I think that's the most common now. I think, but this used to be one of the most common ones. Kind of similar, but not too similar. So they go here, check. They block with the pawn. We take with the knight, and now if they were to take the knight back, then we can take the rook. Okay, so we take that. Alright, so now first thing I see is that the king is just out in the open, so it's like, can we checkmate them at all? The second thing I saw was this rook is hanging, so I think a lot of people are probably going to be misled by this. But the first thing that I noticed was, okay, this king is just almost checkmated. And then while looking for something that could help, you see like this diagonal would be pretty useful. And we have a bishop that can go here, and that would be checkmate because we are covering all the squares. So don't fall for taking that. You just want to look at everything. Like you see like free material, just still look around for a second and see, is there a checkmate in one? Especially when the king is just out in the open like that. This, I don't know what's going on. So a couple things that I'm looking at is like if I move this knight somewhere, possibly. I don't think c3, but it's in general, looking at all checks, captures, and threats, these are two like candidate moves. Mainly so like this bishop can get on this diagonal, but I don't think those are it. I'm kind of leaning towards this move just because okay, it takes forces the king out. I mean they don't have to take, but if they don't, they probably lose knight, so they do have to take. So it does force the king out, but I didn't see the follow up like after that. Because maybe then it's something like, I don't know, something like this. I have no idea. Like I do want to go here, and if they take, is it? And if they take, go bishop here, and then they're almost like they're almost out of squares. I don't really know. So yeah, this one I do not see all the way to the end, and I would just be taking a guess. So now, so I'm almost certain that I want to play this. The only other move that I would consider first is this. So let me just make sure that knight f4 doesn't do anything. Yeah, I don't really see a follow-up there at all. So we'll go there. Now, do we go here to put pressure there? No, I feel like they could just defend with the bishop and then we're kind of losing our initiative. Maybe it's just this. And if they take, then go here. If they go here, I mean, I don't know if that they could take en passant. If they do that, then the queen can go here and the bishop is here. That might be checkmating them almost. So this is another one where they might not test this on everything and it might actually end up in a checkmate. So maybe after en passant, queen here is actually checkmating them, which is crazy. This is like much more difficult than its rating probably. So I'm gonna go here. Yeah, so it just stopped after that. So you could just take a guess, but I think it's that line I saw that you give that check, they take en passant, and then you bring the queen in, which is really hard to see. Alright, so this one is a lot easier though. Because if they move out the way, you're just queening. And if they take, then we have a rook here, they go here, then we just checkmate. Okay. Now, first move that comes to mind is queen here. It's not checkmate because the queen would be able to defend. And then is it just this? You have to be careful with these because you have to notice the material count when you start. So they have 2 rooks, we have 1 rook. So if we just like win a rook back, I haven't counted pawns, but if we just win a rook back, and let's say the pawns were equal, which I don't think they are, then that would be wrong. So we'd have to win more than just a rook. But this might be good enough just because after this, if we take, if they trade queens, they're getting checkmated. And if they don't do anything, we can just promote and make another queen. So it does seem like that should work. Like here, I don't think taking queens and then taking the rook would be good. That would be fine. If we had an extra rook, then we would just be winning material, but this would just be getting us to even. So I think we have to take it this way. So if they were to take, we can checkmate. And if they don't take, then we can make a new queen. Alright, now again here, don't trade queens because we would just be like rook versus rook. So we can just take the rook and be queen and rook versus queen. Alright, so this is a smothered mate pattern, very famous. You should always get these instantly. It's kind of crazy that you see some of these at higher ratings, like 1400 and sometimes 1700, when these are like, there's been harder puzzles at lower ratings. Go here, double check, they have to move the king. Go here, and then smothered mate. Alright, first move I see, well, the king is, it can't move anywhere. So that means any check would be checkmate, as long as they still can't move anywhere, obviously. I mean, and I say that because you can't just move the rook and say, okay, it's checkmate now, because then you gave up some squares. So the move here is pawn takes g3, and that keeps everything still defended. Alright, here, a couple moves that you would consider here is you might look at this, you might look at this, but you should see that there's potential for the queen and knight against this square. And the only thing stopping it is the knight on f3. So taking this would be with check and remove the defender of h2 so that we can follow it up with queen takes h2 next. So they take with the queen. And again, rook here, they would just take back. I don't think that would be that great. It's because then we would give up control to e-file. Right now, we control all of these squares for sure in terms of like the king's escape squares. So when we go here now, and then here, they can't go here because the rook is covered. But we lose that if we go here and then try it, because now we don't have a rook guarding e2. So that's why you leave the rook here and you go for h2 right away. Okay, so this one, there's 2 main moves that you should consider here. Everything else can just be ignored. And that's, again, this queen and knight coordination, or this one. So I think I'm leaning towards queen h2 because we move out the way, we give this check, they move here, we can take. Like, we can just give some checks. I don't see completely where checkmate is, but, well, I don't know. So now let's take a look at a2 for a second. Now if they go here, we can checkmate them. That's great. But if we go here and they go here, then I don't see like the follow-ups. Like, we had a lot more moves that we could follow up for sure after going h2 first. But okay, we can give this check with f2, then they go here. Now where's your follow-up? Like, we're already running out of steam, and I don't see exactly what we're going to do, and they're threatening to just checkmate us in one move. So that's why I would eliminate queen a2, a7, even though I haven't calculated everything. So I'm going to go for this one. Notice they can't go to f2 because of knight's guarding, and it'll probably work out somehow. And again, I don't think e3 is going to be a good check for us. This is like the typical pattern where we go here, and then we give this check, we're taking a pawn. So there's into the center, and I didn't know they were going to give us like this fork. But that's what makes this a kind of lower rated puzzle, I guess. I feel like maybe there's something obvious if they go somewhere else too, but they actually just gave us a fork. Alright, this one is a typical pattern you see a lot in Puzzle Rush. And again, the trick here is noticing pieces that are opposite of each other. So this one is a diagonal one where the bishop is opposite to this queen. So that means moving this pawn to the right square at the right moment will open up a threat against their queen. So if we create another threat, then this will give us a material. So D3, I mean D4. D5 will attack the bishop and also attack the queen. So it makes them have to make a decision on which one to keep. Now they did a good move. They took with the knight, which also attacks our queen. Now, I don't see anywhere you can go with the queen that would be like really great. Like there's no type of check that gets us out of attack from the knight. So we'll just calculate if we take the queen and they take our queen. Now, I don't think we want to take the knight because then they take our bishop and we're just trading material. But luckily we have, so again, if we take here, they take, we can do bishop takes g2 and have another double attack of the rook and a knight. In that way, if they move out the way, then we can take, like we'll just end up winning some material somehow. So again, we don't take the knight, we take this, and now they attack us. So we take this knight. Now they just trade, so we just recapture the piece. Alright, so this one, let's see, did they just take a queen again, like that other one? Okay, so we're down a queen. We could recapture the queen, but we're gonna take a look at what's all out there. If we just take the queen, they can take our knight. So the key here is if we give this check first and take the knight, we're trading pieces, and then we take, we don't end up losing a knight, we end up trading that knight. So that's the key here, just not to rush and retake the queen. Also, not to forget about the queen and try to take the free bishop. No, you just take the queen. Now they take our bishop and we recapture. Okay. Now they have two pieces attacking here. This knight is pinned, can't go anywhere. This rook is attacking, the rook is attacking our knight, is undefended. If we move the knight, the bishop is undefended. So right now I'm only seeing white's threats. So maybe this is like a defensive puzzle where we have to find out how to not lose material. I don't know. But I actually really don't see what's going on here. I mean, we can probably go here, and then if they take, we can fork and get that back. Maybe that's like the defensive part of this tactic. And if they like trade pieces, then we're just trading and it's fine. So yeah, I guess going here, and then if they take, we can do that. Because the thing is, right now, they're just lined up to win some material unless we do that. So let's go here. They do go for that, so we can fork them. And then they go for the trades, as I saw too. Okay. Alright. This one is pretty interesting. Okay, I think I see it. I almost wouldn't have seen it. So this is 17, like 1800 level now. The move that's tempting for a lot of people is going to be rook h8, because defended by the bishop. But they can go to this square. And the question is, where's your follow-up? Well, you have two choices. You can either go here or here. I don't think either of those work. Because if you go rook here, they can go to h5, and then you don't have any other follow-up checks. And if you go here, rook h6, they can take, and then, well, actually, yeah, they can take, and then the rook is hanging. And maybe some people, they might think, oh, we have this and it's going to be checkmate, but no, they would actually be able to just take the rook. Okay, so the key is move the pawn here, and if the pawn takes or the bishop takes, that means when you go here, they don't have the square to escape from anymore, and that's going to be checkmate. So move the pawn first. Wait, I forgot to check one. If they take with the king, then what do we do? Well, now I'm confused. Because maybe it could be something like this. Okay, let's say we go here, and they take, and we go here, and they go here. I actually don't see a follow-up. So maybe it is just this. Is it maybe taking this at some point? I don't know. This one I'm probably gonna get wrong. See how long I've been going? Okay. Yeah, this would definitely be one in a normal puzzle where it's like a 3-minute one. I'll just make a guess and get it wrong somehow. Man, this is almost perfect because if they were to take with either of these, that would be checkmate. But they can take here. I don't think this helps out too much. No. It can't be that. It cannot be this. If it can't be that, it has to be this somehow, so let's just play this move. Okay. Now, what am I missing? Oh, wait, we can go here, and if they go here, we don't go here, but we go this way, because then the bishop is defending the rook. That's what I was missing. Okay. Yeah, that was tough for me. Alright, so they are attacking our bishop. We can take a knight and fork these two. And that seems alright. Oh, wait. If we go here, they give this check, and then they win the bishop back. Could it be something like this first for some reason? No. Then they would take this. It could still be this, and then they go here. Move out the way. I don't know which one or why. Well, probably not this way, because that would give them this check. So let's say here, and they take. Okay, in that situation, we can bring the other rook here, because I was looking, because we don't have queen, so we can't do that, like Damianos, or however you pronounce it, mate, where you go here, sacrifice a lot of stuff, and then bring the queen in to checkmate. But if we go here, they go here, we go here to avoid their check on the f-file, they take, go here, we're threatening this, and they actually can't escape, because they're either going to get checkmated, or they're going to fall for a skewer. So if they try to move out of getting checkmated, then we go here, and we win the rook. So you have to calculate all of that to confidently know like what's going on. Alright, so here we go. And again, we don't go here because they would give this check. And now here we can bring the rook here. They move out the way, so they're going to fall for the skewer. And now we can just take the free rook. Alright, so there's two moves that should come to mind. Either taking this or giving this check first. Now, I have no idea. I don't think it's this at all. They just move the king out the way and then you're like doing less. So, oh wait, I do kind of like this because they can't go to this rank anymore, so it does force them to, well, they could then go here or here. And if we take and then check, it would be fine if they went here and fell for the fork, but if they move out the way, But this could also still be good. And then pushes them back, then we move here. They go here, we go here, they go there, we do that. So maybe it is this. So what's wrong with this then? I actually don't know. I feel like it feels like both moves are kind of winning, although I didn't really look at this one, like d4 as much to see what's going on. But just from looking at this, like taking c2, it does seem um, like I don't see how they're avoiding this pattern. And then they take. So yeah, so I'm not even gonna, if it's wrong, it's wrong. Okay, it's wrong. I should have kept calculating. But you see, the one time I didn't really fully verify what I was kind of unsure about, I got one wrong. So that just shows when you're calculating, you do want to try to be as thorough as you can. And I think because I've just spent a lot of time like explaining some of the earlier puzzles, I kind of just got kind of lazy, and it's kind of late. So let's see, will we make it to 40? Or is this the beginning of a lot of strikes? Alright, so I'm getting kind of tired, so that's playing a role right now. So there's like this, there's that, there's this. Not really, because they could take with the knight, so I discard that one. Also, if we just did nothing, like think about what would they do if it's their turn. They have this square, which is kind of annoying and brings us out into the open, so I don't like just taking any of these free pieces right away. I feel like we have to take advantage of their exposed king somehow. Now, if we go here, that's kind of interesting because, one, if they go defend with the queen, we can give this check and eventually win the queen. If we go here, I'm not sure if we have a follow-up. I mean, maybe. Well, not this, because the queen is guarding, and not these because the knight's guarding. So this is looking more and more likely as I look at it. And at some point it might reconnect with the rook, and like maybe something like this could be possible to create a mating net. And if we go, yeah, because if we go here like that, then we could do this, and then they go here. We still can't give that check though. And we can't push this pawn at all. Yeah, so again, I'm not sure about this or that. My intuition is saying go here though. So I'll try this. Oh no, it was wrong. Okay. And that's fine. So I think I was pretty instructive with the earlier puzzles anyway, and most people are like are at the level where they would benefit more from my explanations on some of the earlier puzzles. So that's not the end of the world, and I'll get better over time. I plan on practicing a lot more with Puzzle Rush. Okay, so they're attacking this. I don't think I'd want to do that. But I don't really see any good checks because the bishop is covering this diagonal. And I don't even think attacking the rook at all works because the queen is guarding it. Oh, here doesn't seem to work because the queen's guarding. So I really just don't see it. And I'm not sure about that at all. I don't feel like the knight's helping much. So I am kind of just defaulting to just taking this, and maybe the point is we have to find out, is there something after that? Because then we do have some checks. Like we have this check, we have that check. So, and you know, if we were to go here after that, they would have this square. So I like this because it cuts off all of this, and they have to go here, and we kind of have like a box around them. So I do kind of like that. Okay, and they go here, so we can just distract and win the queen. And again, we have room, so when I do that, we can just move out the way. Okay, so first idea is seeing that these two pieces, they could get forked by a pawn. So if we go here, we attack the knight, they move out the way, we fork. So does this idea work? Does it have any flaws? I don't know. I'm just gonna go for this though. So they go here. I think if they take, we're fine. So we just go here. Alright, so they have a king and queen, same diagonal. It means we could go here and force a trade, and if this pawn is fast enough, we just make a new queen. So yeah, that looks good. I don't see anything else to do in the position. Alright, so they are attacking our rook. We do have a bishop that can move in there, almost out of squares. Again, a key thing is double check means they have to move the king, so we can go here for double check. They would have to go here, then this, there, checkmate. Oops, I almost moved the rook. Yeah, I think I've seen this one before. I don't know. Maybe it's just a pattern. But looking for like an Arabian mate setup. Like we go here, and then we had that move. That would be the Arabian mate. So is there a way for them to even escape that? Because we wouldn't want to take the knight because they would just take back. So this seems kind of hard to stop. And if they did move this knight, then this one just be free. We'd have this pawn that maybe would end up being a thorn in their side. And okay, if they ever check, we can move out the way and not get checkmated. Maybe even this in some cases, I don't know. Alright, so this looks good. Why nothing else? Because, well, if we go here, well, that doesn't even help us get to that square, but this seems to be, because the only other way to get to that square would be this, but they would just take with the pawn. So that's why this move, and then that. So you just go here right away. And if we go here, it's still threatening the same Arabian mate. They give a check, we can take, and I don't think we're losing anything. They give a check, we can move out the way. Not the only legal move, but the only sane move. Okay, we made it to 40. Now, is this queen almost trapped? Is my first question. I don't think so. Okay, they could always just do that, just keep that in mind. But yeah, like this, they would just take, and then we could take, but then we're just trading. This attacks the queen, but then they can just get out the way so they're not trapped, so I don't really like that move. This rook is kind of a defensive piece right now, can't really move anywhere. So the only move that comes to mind at all is queen here, and not queen h4 because the queen would take. So queen here threatens this check, and the question is, do we have good follow-ups after they defend against it? Because there's so many ways. They could just move the knight, they could do this. There's a lot of things they can do. They can even just take this first and then do some of that stuff. But, okay, maybe the thing is, okay, we go here, they defend against it, and then we trap the queen. That's how it works. Okay, they go here, attack this, and I think this is just trapping the queen. Okay, so first thing, again, this is another one of those where you want to look at the pieces that are across from each other. So if we can give a check with this bishop, we would win this undefended rook, and luckily we have a check right here. Now they could move this and try to fork us. If you don't know en passant, then this will blow your mind. You just take on b6, and then that's another check, and then you win the rook. So yeah, this is a hard move to play if you don't know en passant. Okay, now I'm kind of tired, so I don't even mind if I get this one wrong. But I don't know what's going on. Like, I'm looking at this for no reason. I don't think that does anything. Because I'd like to eventually get a queen here and try to checkmate, but they're defended that way. And this would be bad. I mean, there's this to try to get here. I don't know. Really don't know. There's also this, attacks your queen. I don't immediately feel like I like it, but the more I'm looking at it, the less squares I'm seeing for the queen. Actually, you know what? The merit for that move seems to be that it gets the queen off this diagonal. Because they can't go here, and they can't go there. And so let's say if they go here, or they go here, then we can give this check, and maybe then we're getting somewhere like that, and now they can't defend against a checkmate. Okay, so they go here, so they just give up the queen. Alright, so they have a bishop and queen guarding stuff. If they were to go here, they would be threatening checkmate. We almost can go here. They have a knight guarding, but we have 3 pieces guarding. They have 2. So can we give up the bishop here to checkmate? That would work. If we go here, wait, why is this queen hanging? Also, oh, our queen is hanging. Okay. Hmm. Could it be taking this with the queen? And then if they take, then we take? What's the material count after that? What's the material count now? We have 2 pieces, they have 2 pieces, and we both have 2 rooks. So yeah, taking this, and then if they take and taking that would win material for us. The question is if we take that and they take, we take that, that also looks good. And if we were to go here, the problem is then trying stuff like that might not work because they'd eventually be getting the bishop maybe? I don't know. It feels like this just wins some material. I'm not 100% sure, but we're just gonna play it. Okay. That's fine. So let's take a look at the mistakes. Oh, so this was the one where I was unsure about like d4 versus taking the thing. So was that, and then, so this was a line that I calculated. I just didn't see why it didn't work here. Like if I take here, they go here, we go here. And okay, king e2, notice king e2 is the only move. Everything else falls for this, like I was saying. So that's what I was calculating. And I even thought here it was, oh, yeah, I did see, I kind of dismissed this because I thought, oh, we're just forking and we're going to win. But they have this passed pawn, and it's like, if you stop this pawn, they're going to stop this, and it's going to be a draw. So you go here, it's like, okay, you're not promoting this pawn, you have to be careful of this one. So you go here, they take, and then they could just go into the corner. So, like, okay, let's say you had this, and you allow this position. Like, you just can't win now. So, when they have a king in front of the rook pawn, there's just nothing you can do. Because you move out the way and give them the pawn, or you go here and stalemate them. So yeah, so I did see the line that I needed to see. It's just that I dismissed it because I thought, oh, we're forking, so they're not gonna be able to do that. But you have to see that, oh, they can take. You have to calculate to the end and see that even after you do that, you have to worry about this pawn. You're not gonna be able to do anything. So that actually is the difference between taking this first and just pushing this. And I think at some point I was leaning towards this move. Because I like that this was still cut off, but I don't know why I didn't listen to that part of me. see the comments. Couldn't the first two moves be in reverse order? No. I could make a comment explaining that, but too tired right now. Okay, 1972 one. And it was this one, so I knew it was between Queen E5 and here. Oh wow, this one is weird. So you go here and get a skewer. That's a nice one. And a 2400. Okay, it was the bishop one. And then going there. Oh, and because, so you don't have to worry about them taking your queen because of that. So why doesn't this work, first of all? D takes here. I thought I was up material here. Oh, they take here. I didn't see that. Okay, that's what I missed. And then the other thing to check was after this, I was worried about this move. And apparently you can just go here. Oh, well, yeah, it's the same thing. You just take. Okay, that's fine. Anyway, hope you enjoyed, hope you found it instructive, and see you in the next one. This will probably be an easier video series to do like more regularly while I'm out of ideas or working on other things. So let me know what you think, and see you next time.